Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Rob Lemke. I'm one of the lieutenants here at the Fairfield Police Department, and I have the honor of welcoming you to the swearing-in ceremony of the City of Fairfield's 12th Police Chief, Randy Fenn. I'd like to welcome the Fairfield Police Department Honor Guard for the presentation of colors.
Hold. 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 Right. Forward. Mark.
Next, I would like to invite the raffle team from the Fairfield Sassoon Public Safety Academy up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Prepare for pledge. Ready? Begin.
Now I'd like to welcome Commander Isabel Ochoa from the Public Safety Academy for her rendition of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide the foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Forward, march.
Next, I'd like to invite Senior Chaplain Rick Stonestreet up for the invocation.
Let's pray.
Next, I'd like to welcome City Manager David White.
Congratulations. Good afternoon. It is wonderful to be surrounded by community leaders, friends, colleagues, and fellow employees. And it is a genuine privilege and honor to have the opportunity to share some words at Chief Fenn's swearing-in ceremony. This is an important moment for all of us in this room as we entrust in the police chief the great responsibility to lead the police department to keep the community safe. This is the community's top priority. As you may know, we hired a recruiter and performed a national search for this position. Applications were submitted by individuals from across the country, and what I can tell you is that Randy stood head and shoulders above the pack. Randy is an amazing person and is the right person for this job. He remains composed under pressure, is thoughtful, and possesses deep experience in the profession. While the input from the interview panels mattered, let me tell you what also made a difference and had an impression on me. The input from many of you in this room and others that couldn't be here today. I heard from numerous residents, employees, and community leaders that Randy was your pick to be the next chief. His thoughtful approach to solving difficult problems, his integrity, his diverse background, and his calm demeanor were just some of the attributes that I noted. My experience working alongside Randy confirmed all of this and more. Let me give you a couple of examples. As the city has grappled with the issue of homelessness, Randy was a driving force behind the creation of our homeless intervention team, which has proven to be a successful strategy to address the issue of homelessness. As interim chief, Randy handled emergencies as they arose with grace. I could provide many examples, but the incident that I want to comment on occurred over the 2-day period of April 28th and 29th earlier this year. It was over these 2 days that our community and police department were threatened by an individual that set off explosives throughout the community, including one outside our very own police department building. Despite all that occurred, late into the evening and early into the morning, Randy did a phenomenal job keeping me informed and demonstrated unquestionable leadership navigating the events as they unfolded. With all this to rely on, Randy, I knew you were the right person for the job and was excited to make the announcement to your department, which is a moment in my career, as you and I have talked about, that I will never forget. It was on that day that I had the opportunity to stand up in front of your department and announce my selection. I don't think that I will ever be able to put into words the chills that ran up and down my spine as all those that were present celebrated the announcement. Thank you for that. In conclusion, as your city manager, I want the best for the community, as well as the best for the women and men of the police department. I want to reiterate, we have the best. Randy, I am excited that you're about to be sworn in as Fairfield's next chief of police. I now want to ask all of you to do what you did for me a few weeks ago and join me in a warm round of applause for our next chief of police, Randy Fenn.
I'd like to welcome our mayor, Harry Price.
Thank you, and thank all of you for choosing to be here today. Well, Chief, it's a reality. And it's a reality that as the mayor of the city of Fairfield, I want to share with all of you. One of the most important responsibilities we have in this country is to ensure that people in our communities are safe all the time. And one simply has to pick up a newspaper, turn on the news to realize that we live in these very dangerous and conflicting times when Americans can't get along with Americans. So the job that the chief has is a very, very important one. And on behalf of my council colleagues, I want to thank all of you for being here today to acknowledge that this chief follows a long line of successful chiefs in the city of Fairfield, and his contributions are certainly going to make our community a much better place to live, a safer place for all of us. And with school starting in just a couple of days, students will know that this is a good place to live, to work, and to get an education. So, Chief, congratulations, sir. And I know that it is with a great deal of pride that we recognize and acknowledge what you are about to do. And to your family, we will hold you in our prayers all the time. Chief, congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ready? All right. I'd like to invite Chief Fenn up for the pinning of the badge for his wife Stacy, his daughter Lily, and his son Jackson. I'd like to invite City Clerk Karen Reese up to administer the oath of office.
It's my honor and privilege to swear in Randy J. Fenn, our new Chief of Police. A couple months ago, I got to swear him in as the interim Chief of Police, and that was a much smaller ceremony. It was just up on the fourth floor in one of the conference rooms. Randy, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Keep it in the middle. I, Randy J. Fenn,
I, Randy J. Fenn,
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Randy J. Fenn.
Thank you, Lieutenant Linke. Appreciate that. Sorry, with all that wisdom and experience that I've been told I have, also comes the need for glasses. So. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, Miss City Clerk, and Mr. City Manager, distinguished guests, community members, family, and friends. I am humbled and honored by your presence here today. I appreciate this visible show of support, not just for me or for the office of Chief, but for the Fairfield Police Department. Thank you for taking the time to share in this occasion with my family, the department, the city, and me. I have been blessed with an incredible support system, and many of them are here today. My loving and supportive parents, Jay and Carlene Fenn, my sister Kristen, some of my cousins. I don't see you all enough, so I'm grateful you took the time to be here today. Stacy's parents, Justin and Candy Green, her aunt and uncle, cousin Andy. Your support has always been such a blessing. Thank you to our strong and capable daughter, Lily. If you did know those flowers there, always have lilies in our house. We always have flowers with lilies for a very special reason. And our handsome and gentle son, Jackson. I am proud of both of you, and I thank God for you. You may not fully appreciate this moment, but one day you'll realize that Daddy did this, so there will be 123 extra sets of eyes watching you when you start driving and start to date, even though that won't be until well into your 20s. No one has supported me more than my beautiful wife, Stacy. She has been there through the ups and downs and has always encouraged me. Stacy has her own bona fides when it comes to law enforcement and has passed up on many opportunities for the benefit of our family and for my career. I know I'm not the easiest person to love, but you have stayed by my side. I thank you and I love you. So who am I and how did I get here? I started in the Concord Police Explorer program in 1985. I grew up in that department, spending 21 years there before leaving in 2006. They taught me how to be a real cop and how to take care of the community. I see people in the audience today who are part of that education, and I thank you. About 8 years in, I had occasion to speak with Dr. Gordon Wolf, a well-known police psychologist in Northern California. He asked me when I was going to get serious about my career. I was a little miffed, and I said, "Hey, Doc, maybe you missed the part where I said I'm on motors and on SWAT. They pay me to ride a Harley Davidson and shoot automatic weapons. I think I've got the career thing dialed in." He went on to give me some fatherly advice on leadership, gifts and talents, and our obligation to serve the profession. His words struck a chord with me, and I began pursuing promotion to sergeant. I got with a couple of my buddies and formed a study group. Cops being cops, a few smart Alecs started calling us the UACs, the up-and-comers. Together, we came under the tutelage of a couple of leadership giants in the Concord PD. One of them we referred to as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is legendary Police Chief Joe Crines, who I am pleased to say is here with us today. Joe coached us, and I can say for me personally, he has been a tremendous mentor in my career. In 2005, Stacy and I brought our beautiful daughter Lily home, and we got the notion of living a more rural lifestyle. I was going to be an outdoorsman, teach my kids to live off the land. I took a job as a lieutenant in Truckee, and we set out to live in the mountains. Instead, we ended up buying a new home on a golf course in a master plan community in Reno, but it was practically the same thing. In Truckee, I learned about small-town policing and how to wear many hats. In a small department, especially one that was less than 5 years old at the time, you have to learn to be a jack of all trades. I worked with some great people there, and I'm grateful that a few of them have joined us today. Hats weren't the only clothing items I learned about in Truckee. Policing is a little different in a city that at times can be one of the coldest places in the U.S. Early on, I left the office one day to go out to a crime scene. While standing there in some snowy, muddy slush, the senior sergeant said to me, "Nice loafers, Lieutenant." That same salty sergeant would later pull my car out of a snowbank that I had driven into somewhere off of Alder Creek. Thank you, Dan. Over the years up north, we added to our family with the birth of our son, Jackson. We grew to miss family, and I missed the pace of more urban policing. It is unusual for a police department the size and complexity of Fairfield to open lieutenant's position to the outside. But I thought that could be the change I was looking for. When then Police Chief Walt Tibbett hired me in January of 2012, I could not have been happier or more thankful for such an incredible opportunity. And while coming into such a dynamic organization to a mid-management position was a bit intimidating, Chief Tibbett's team could not have been more welcoming or accommodating. They deserve recognition as their commitment to helping me succeed made a significant difference. I'd like to recognize now retired Captains Darren Moody and Frank Mihalich, then Police Lieutenants Al Bagos, Joe Alio, Steve Crane, and Chad Tigert. Those guys probably never thought that once they made lieutenant they'd have to be a field training officer again, but they served that role for me, and I will be forever grateful to them. Honorable mention also goes to Lieutenant Greg Hurlbut and Dispatch Records Manager Don Shepard, who did not have to take me on any ride-alongs, but were still gracious in helping me assimilate to the Fairfield PD. After being received by the police department, I found city government and the community to be very welcoming also. Shortly into my time here, I had occasion to comment to Chief Tibbett what a great place this was. All my years in the Bay Area, and I had no idea what was going on in Fairfield or its police department. I told him that frequently I said little prayers of thanksgiving on my way to work for being given this incredible opportunity at such an incredible place. And since moving here a couple of years ago, my family and I continue to be in a spirit of thanksgiving for this community, our church, the kids' school, and the quality of life we have here in Fairfield. Another reason I'm thankful is the caliber of the people working for the police department. I've seen the dedication of their service firsthand as a lieutenant and captain, and since serving as chief, I get to review all the commendations and accolades that they earn, both from within and outside the department on a daily basis. The work they do in the face of increasing challenges and ever-present danger is inspiring. I am proud to be associated with them. When the national conversation several years ago turned to harsh criticism of law enforcement and experts filled the airways with recommendations on how to connect the cops and the community, we at the Fairfield Police Department watched and listened, then went back to doing what was already routine for us. No one had to tell us to be a part of the community because we already were, and we continue to be. I get the distinct benefit of following my predecessors and their commitment to community policing, which has been inculcated into the culture of this police department. It's who we are. It's what we do. I look around this auditorium and I see evidence of that commitment. I see our friends and partners from the various neighborhoods, community groups, other city departments, even the fire department, allied government agencies, faith community, businesses, and Travis Air Force Base. Many, if not most, are here first and foremost because they support the men and women of the Fairfield Police Department, and I thank them for their support. Allow me to take a moment to single out the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District for their leadership and partnership in improving our community by connecting with our youth. Our work together at the Public Safety Academy and Sullivan Interagency Youth Center are the envy of communities far and wide, and they are a testament to the commitment of district and city leadership in making a better tomorrow for Fairfield. As we move forward, I am encouraged by the leadership shown by the City Council and City Manager in approving an aggressive recruitment and retention campaign. My hope is we will soon provide relief to a dispatch center and patrol staff who frequently put in long hours and forego days off to keep our level of service so high. By approaching full staffing, not only will we alleviate some burdens faced by dispatchers and officers, we will be able to focus our time and energy on innovation and improvement. You see, we face real challenges ahead. The state has released tens of thousands of prisoners over the last several years, and it is poised to release 9,500 more in the next 4. Many crimes have been reduced from felonies to misdemeanors. Some argue this is contributing to the dramatic increase in the number of homeless in communities throughout California. Couple this with a lack of infrastructure for dealing with the mentally ill and rapidly changing laws and attitudes towards drugs, the growing distrust of government, and the increasing threat of domestic terrorism, and you've got a complicated set of issues. These challenges and the consequences of decisions made in DC and Sacramento are real. Harvard professor Dan Fenn, commenting about state and local government, noted that in Philadelphia in 1787, the founding fathers purposely made our jobs difficult. There is constant friction in the execution of government in the United States, and that was by design. This is the environment we operate in local government. Now, we can argue the proper role of government with regard to society's problems. Regardless if you side more with James Madison or you're more Jeffersonian in your views, many of society's most complex problems have been laid on the back of government, and in particular local government. And who is most often called upon from government, especially when situations are acute or in crisis? The most visible function in local government, the police. As an aside, Professor Dan Fenn, teaching at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, is in his 90s. He actually started in the 40s, one of the youngest deans ever appointed. Now, he has the same spelling of his last name, so my dad and I have been researching the family tree, trying to find where the intersections might connect there. Besides the obvious of our names being the same, I mean, it makes sense. He went to Harvard, and my dad and I went to the Harvard of the West Coast, DVC. But I digress. We will need really big thinkers and innovators to fill the ranks of policing in the 21st century. I am confident in the collective brain power of the men and women of Fairfield Police Department, and I want them to know that I will support you and promote an environment where your talents can be unleashed to tackle these complex issues for this city. We will develop the command staff to balance the best of the traditions of policing in our department with the increasing need for technical and adaptive change. We will seek to hire the best people from diverse experiences, cultures, and backgrounds to broaden and deepen our pool of talent. By the way, we will also capitalize on our work with the schools and community partners by focusing those who call Fairfield home. We will continue to equip you with the best tools and technology to do your job well and do it safely. And we will build on our reputation for having amongst the best training programs in the industry. I know that if the alert tones went off right now, you'd spring into action. Actually, you'd all go really quickly so you could get out of these uniforms. I get it, no one likes Class A. But you would run towards the gunfire, put yourselves in harm's way, with the skill set of warriors and the hearts of guardians. I also know, because I've witnessed it, that you would take the time to speak to a neighborhood group, help an elderly homeless woman find housing, and give of your own time and money so a pal kid could go to a ball game. You will stay past your shift when the calls are pouring into dispatch and staffing is at minimum, Support staff will go the extra mile to make sure the department is served and the mission is accomplished. You will work all night, then spend Christmas morning away from your own families so kids in need can get a glimpse of a real-life Santa. It is for these reasons and more that I am proud to be a Fairfield police officer, and I am honored to be your chief.
Before we conclude, I'd like to recognize and give a special thanks to Faye Pereira and her staff for setting up this reception and ceremony, and all the volunteers and explorers that were here today to help. So as we conclude, we've got a nice spread of food and some refreshments back in the back. I'd like to invite everybody to enjoy it and socialize for a bit. But before we break, the chief has requested all the Fairfield PD employees up on stage for a group picture. Thank you very much.